VA wants their money back. Now, Jason, if I remember, you were in the Guard, right? Not the Guard, not the
Oh,
reserves.
yeah.
Okay.
I was in the Army Guard after the Marine Corps. So I always got Marine Corps. So I active duty Marine Corps, had a little break in service. Then I joined the Army National Guard, and I finished my time out there.
All right. I'm going to speak on the severance pay issue when it comes to the VA wants their money back, and if you could take the Guard and reserve pay issue. So severance pay, a good friend of mine who was a good Marine, okay? Solid Marine at 12. The Marine Corps is very, their standards are very strict. And so at that 12-year mark, he was still an E5. He was forced out of the Marine Corps, and I hate that situation so much because he was actually a legitimate Marine, okay? Down and dirty, just he was a Marine's Marine. Well, he got severance pay of about 30 grand, and that's rounded. And eventually he would get his disability rating at 100% P&C, but you know what the VA said? They said, hey, congrats on your rating. You owe us 30 grand. So although he was awarded that VA disability rating, he had to pay back through his VA disability checks, through that DFAST audit, that severance pay. And no one realizes that until it slaps you right in the face, okay? Because I remember talking to him. He left the Marine Corps, and he's like, dude, you know, I'm single. I have no kids. I got 30 grand check. What am I going to do? I'm going to go party, do all this stuff. And at that time, I didn't know. I was still in the Marine Corps. You know, I didn't know about VA disability then. And then a few years later, he's like, hey, I had to pay all that back. And so he did get his rating, but it was a punch to the gut. It comes with DFAST audits. Retirees also have a DFAST audit themselves. So there are different, you know, severance pay situations that can occur. But yes, the VA will take their money back, and it could be, they always give you an option. If there's a debt to collect, it'll be like, hey, we're going to take $110 for the next, 36 months. Or they will give you the option to just pay it all up front in one go. Do with that what you will. You can make your own financial decisions, but pretty much it ends up being 6 one way, half a dozen the other. Just how do you want to cut that cake? That's essentially what happens. So that's severance pay, Jason. If you can go ahead and take the reserve and guard pay, or add on if I had missed anything.
Yeah, no, you're good. My other chicken's laying an egg now.
Nice.
So, sorry. All right, so here we go. So no, you cannot receive both. Now, here's the thing. With reserves or National Guard, one of the kind of neat things about it is you can actually go get service connected with the VA during your time being a reservist. There's no benefits delivery, discharge in a certain window. You can do it whenever. And so that's exciting sometimes for people if you're not planning to stay in. Okay, if you're planning on staying in, well, then it's another story. You might want to hold off on that. Keep your cards close to your chest and try to get to that 20-year mark before you start to open up too much. So with that, you file your claim with the VA. VA comes back. They say, great, here's you go, all that good stuff. On your forms, I believe it says, what branches did you serve in, and are you still serving? And you're saying yes. And somewhere buried in the paperwork, it says, hey, look, congratulations, here's your money. This is how much you get per month. You need to now make a decision. Would you like to waive your VA money and not get paid and just be a rated veteran? Or do you want it? And if you want it, you need to then go waive your drill pay. So you can't collect both. It's concurrent receipt, and you can't do that. There's a couple little blurbs here that I'll read to you, and then I'm going to talk a little more about it. So no, you cannot receive both reserve pay, which also includes National Guard pay, right? Reserves and National Guard. You cannot receive both reserve pay and Department of Veterans Affairs disability compensation at the same time. This is because the U.S. Code prohibits service members from receiving dual compensation while on active duty or during inactive training. This is known as concurrent receipt. If you accidentally receive a VA payment while serving in the military, you will be required to pay that money back to the VA. So the one little weird part there is, well, you can receive it if you waive your military pay. So you gotta pick one or the other. The next kind of line here is to be eligible for VA disability benefits while on drilling status or as a retiree, actually, of the reserves or National Guard. You must have served on active duty for training, or inactive duty training, and have a service-connected disability. So anyway, back to the point at hand here, which is the collecting both at the same time. I did that when I was in. So, I damaged my left eye, and it was a horrible thing. It was like a golf ball. I mean, it was all lumpy and crazy, and it looked like I was looking underneath like swampy water. And everybody watching this, if you hung on here, you're going to totally get this. So mortars, right? And I can't remember now if it was a 120 or an 81, but anyway, one of the bigger ones, right? So we're going, boom, boom, boom. Something flies in my eye. Don't know what it was. Maybe it was something off of the little ring or whatever, right?
Yeah,
off
the band, yeah.
Yeah, something flies in my eye. Bam, I get a corneal abrasion. So that sucked. I'm like, God, my eye. So it felt like I had sand like stuck in my eye. And it was just scratchy and it hurt. And whatever, tried to flush it out. Nothing happened. So then I look in the mirror when I finally, I don't have a mirror on me. And so finally I get like back to like a Humvee or something. And I kind of look in the mirror, and my eye is just like, my eyeball itself is swollen up and looks kind of like tapioca pudding. And like I said, with my left eye, just closing my right eye, looking with my left eye, it was like I was looking underneath swampy water with stuff floating around. My other eye, clear as day, blue skies, beautiful. I'm like, something's not right, man. I tell the medic, this is during the Army National Guard, I tell the medic, well, probably just get some rest, take some Motrin, and we'll check on it in the morning. Okay. The morning comes, it's not any better. It's just, it feels like it's gonna like plop out of my face. We have a PHA, a physical health assessment, coming now. And so we go to the physical health assessment, and I'm walking around with one eye shut because it's super sensitive to the light. We get to the area where it was look at the chart, the E chart with all, and it's like, I'm one eye in it. And the guy's like, can you open up your, whatever. So I do. And I'm like, I can't really see out of it right now. Nobody's saying anything to me still. I'm like, this just sucks. Finally, I get to the end where the medical person, right? The physician's assistant or whatever is going to sign the page. He could have been a doctor. I think he was like, he was probably like I think he was either a major or a lieutenant colonel. So maybe he was a doctor. So anyway, so he's there. He's like, what's up with your eye? And I show him and I tell him, he's like, where get your first sergeant? This is ridiculous. So then that whole thing happened, which is like, great, here we go. So off I go, get taken out. They give me steroids. Yeah. Hey, so then it's like heads are rolling. I go to an ophthalmologist, and they give me steroid drops, right? And they say, come back the next day. They're like, yeah, steroid drops aren't working. We got to give you a shot. So they give me a shot. They lift my eyelid up, and they give me a shot right over my eyeball. That was fun to see that needle. Anyway, all that to say is that I'm service connected for my left eye because now I have this weird thing called, it sounds fake, recurrent iritis. I got the iritis. Anyway, so I got service connected for that while I was in the Guard. And I got the paperwork, pick one or the other. Whatever. I'll let that go. So I get both. So I'm getting VA money and Guard money. That's great for about, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years. And then all of a sudden the VA is like, oh, so the brakes on that. We're not sending you nothing for like 4 months. So basically they just took my whole check for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months or something like that. So it's a fun situation. Anyway, that was my long story that I wanted to share. I'm so glad that I got to.
No, that's great. I think we'll let's go ahead and push the turning 100% into P&T for next week. But I did want to add on to that. I was also in the reserves in the Marine Corps just for a year. I don't talk about it because it was during COVID. And when I say I did nothing, I mean I did nothing because it all got waived. I was a
Nice.
reservist for a year and a half. I never did a CFT, a PFT. I never did training. It was the best year of the military in my life. Okay. Now, the reason I bring that up, and it was an IMA program, individual something augmentee. That was when I was a PSYOPer. But and I'll speak for the Marine Corps. I'm sure other services have it as well. You can go to your one shop. If you're a reservist or in the Guard right now, you can go to your one shop and let them know you are receiving VA compensation, and you can completely waive your weekend check. Okay, whatever that looks like for you. Now, in my case, I didn't get a weekend check because I never did
Never
anything.
weekend.
Because it got waived, right? It got waived. So I do have one good year in the reserve. So mark that down, brother.
That's right.
And then
Hardcore.
once the world came back and COVID disappeared, I had to do a CFT, and I was like, nah, I quit.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's my reserve story. So I didn't, but I say that because I didn't have to. If I did receive pay, I wouldn't have had that debt collected because I waived it. So you can do both. You can tell the VA to withhold it, which I really do not recommend. I would rather deal with any organization other than the VA. Okay. So let VA do what they're going to do. If you can go to your one shop or do it internally, I would rather hassle with the Lance Corporal or specialist in the one versus someone on the phone at the VA.
No, you need to turn my VA benefits back on. Turn them back on. Yeah, no, you don't want those conversations. I get it.
Oh yeah,
I've been out for 3 years now. Turn it back on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But that's my 2 cents. And the VA wants their money back. And when I say when the VA wants their money back, they're going to get it back. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So just be mindful of that. It is a real thing. I've seen some debt collections being like the $30,000-$40,000, and that's just not. It just sucks. It's just like it's good because you got rated, but the good is bad because you got rated, right?
Right.
So